Chit Chat is sponsored by Fun Again Games, where everyone is welcome at our table, and your source for hard-to-find imports, liquidation games, new releases, and much more. Be sure to visit funagain.com to check it out. It's episode 112 of Chit Chat, and it's time to ring in the new year with our gaming resolutions for 2023. We've all set a path to reach our goals, but we'll see if we can get there when it's all said and done. Welcome back to Chit Chat 112. This is the first Chit Chat of 2023, and with that said, we are going to be talking about our New Year's resolutions as it relates to gaming specifically. I mean, unless you guys want to share your New Year's
Yeah, I've got my whole list just ready to go.
Of all your
resolutions? Of my resolutions. No,
That's a lot. Don't make a list. I found the more resolutions you make, the more chances you have to fail at them. So just keep it like a small number.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, though, Ryan. Come on.
Whoa, I like this. This is
what
the
we're doing
new
now?
Chit Chat. One of our resolutions is to make Chit Chat a little more exciting. You're seeing it right
A
here.
little more competitive. We're too Care Bear.
of the shots you don't take.
I wasn't ready for this, but I feel uncomfortable being in the middle.
Aim for the moon, because if you miss, you'll land among the stars.
There you go.
Oh, boy.
My resolution is just to have as many platitudes in Chit Chat as possible.
There you go.
I have a new resolution, and it's to do more Chit Chats, maybe with fewer hosts.
A solo Chit Chat.
Solo Chit Chat. No, but welcome to episode 112. We are going to be talking about gaming resolutions.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about some of the games we've been playing. And we have played some games over the sort of like New Year's holiday. I think we got a few games played.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You just had a game day that you went to and played a couple new ones. Spoiler alert, she'll be talking about those at the end of the episode. But before we talk about any of that stuff, we do have a winner from the last episode. And that winner is going to get a copy of Rear Window, a game that Ryan won't be talking about today.
It might come up.
But he's talked about it a couple times on recent Chit Chats. The winner of that is Fred Paro or Pero. I apologize if I'm not pronouncing it right. But thank you for emailing us with the code word Hitchcock.
Yeah.
You are the winner of Rear Window, so we will contact you and sort of make all the arrangements to get you that copy of the game.
Congrats.
Yes, congrats.
You'll like it. I hope you do at least.
Yeah, he does, because he likes it a lot.
talked
We
it up a
all
lot.
like
It's
it
a
pretty well.
Mysterium killer. You'll get rid of your old
It
copies.
is quote unquote from them. And I think I would agree. It is a kind of a Mysterium killer. And if you like Jimmy Stewart, it's a real Mysterium killer. You probably don't even know who Jimmy Stewart is. He's the guy on the front of the box. Oh,
Look, so I am going to talk about Rear Window for a second.
Oh, no.
I taught Rear Window to my parents. My dad was a little hesitant, whatever. He's not much of a gamer. They ended up really enjoying it. We played it twice in a row. And you're going to think I'm joking. We walked into the other room. We were going to watch Top Gun.
You're joking.
We turned the TV on. Rear Window. Yeah, I mean, I was kind of surprised.
That's crazy.
It is kind of crazy. See, thank you. That's the reaction I wanted from that story.
That is crazy.
But the actual point of that story was, it was great that my parents got to play it. And they don't normally play games more than once, but we played that one twice. And so,
nice.
Yeah,
that
just
is
a little
cool.
Rear Window anecdote.
I want to get my parents to play a little bit more board games. That is not one of my
I was going to say, is that your resolution,
No,
David?
I mean,
you can only control yourself.
Maybe I'll add it to my resolution, but it's really not up to me as much as
Yeah.
it is to
You do
them.
play some games with your parents, right?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, not too many. We go over there a lot and play games over the holidays. My family's all in town, my brother, my sisters, and their kids. So we get some games played, but oftentimes that turns into me basically just playing with my nephew and a couple of my nieces. And everyone else gets to do something else while Uncle David is teaching board games to the ones that'll play with them. But
one of my resolutions is a little bit about getting to play games with new people. So for me, I started using the BG Stats app when I realized I could put people's names in it, because that really helps me remember names, since I'm very, very, very bad at remembering names. I apologize to anyone I've offended and will offend in the future. But one of my goals this year is going to be able to remember a number of people that I've played games with this year. So in the BG Stats app, you can see there's 20 named players that you've played games with. And I want to see if I can just recall off the top of my head people that I've played with. So I have my group that I normally play with, but I want to, hopefully this goal will help me when I'm playing games with people, really be purposeful about okay, this is Ryan. I played Rear Window with Ryan, and this is going to be one of the things I'm going to remember this year to help me remember who I'm playing with.
Do I want to know how long it took you to remember our names when we all first started gaming together?
What's your name? Sorry?
She still has me in BGG as that guy from MVM.
Am I still on your phone as Ryan from Board Games?
No, you were never my phone as Ryan. From
Oh, what was I in your phone as?
Sorry, Ryan, you're not in her phone.
Just Ryan.
Oh, just regular Ryan?
Yeah.
That's boring.
Just Ryan.
Just Ryan. Don't tell just
I
Tiff
did
that,
see
'cause
her
she'll-
BGG stats the other day because we were playing a game, and spoiler alert, my resolution is to actually use BGG stats. So I had mine open, she had hers open, and there were some people in there that were listed as like descriptors rather than names. And so my question for you is, do you feel comfortable when you're playing with people, like random people that you haven't met before, saying, hey, what is your name? Because
I do
you
feel
could say
like,
what your first name, I guess, and not be terribly intrusive.
Yeah, I do feel like it's a good opportunity to be like, oh, what's your name? And like for it to be less weird. I do feel weird though when they say like Ryan, and I'm like, okay, I have 5 Ryans. So like now do I say what's your last name?
So
Or do I just say like
I have a
glasses?
system for that, and I will, because I feel bad too when I forget people's names, and sometimes I just forget their names completely. Like they might say it at the beginning of the game, that by the end of the game I've completely forgotten it. So,
I forget so
I'll
easily.
tell everyone, hey, I use this BGG stats app because everyone kind of knows it. And I'm like, I don't have you in here, yet. Can you spell your name for me?
I think you literally did that with me.
Probably.
Honestly, like one of the first
I'm
times we played games together.
Can you spell your name? And if they're like, oh, it's Steve, like STE, and I'm like, yeah, like your last name, like right, and I pretend like, oh, of course I knew it was an easy first name. I was asking about your last name, but sometimes I just forgot that guy's name was Steve, like, and that's an easy way to get them to like repeat their name without feeling kind of awkward or being like, what's your name again? Like, just ask them.
Did
to
you
spell
say
it.
Steve or Lee?
Stop! I had somebody in my BG stats as Steve, and it was Lee, and it was.
She
Some
played.
are very
She
off.
played a game with him
I like
recently
that.
and discovered his name was what? Lee.
Lee.
Oh,
Lee.
the
But
guy,
that's
yeah,
a
from
common
the meetup.
mistake because you might hear it at the table and you just hear that long E
Well, no,
sound.
because there
and
is
you
a
just, oh, it's
Steve and there
Lee.
is a Lee that we play with both of the guys. Yeah, I could see that, but
It's
I
gonna be a hard resolution for me, honestly.
also
But
see Emily's
It's kind
thing
of
like,
a unique resolution. Like, what are you going to do to, like,
play with more people.
are we going to test you? No, but like you want to
like
remember
quiz,
their names.
quiz her?
No.
Do
I
we
think
get to
that
quiz
guy's
you at a
name.
certain time? Like, who did you play this game with?
I know. It's more like if I can sit at the end of the year and be like, who did I play games with this year? And if I can list off like 30 people, that's my goal.
Oh, that's
Okay.
And
great.
to just be like,
That's like a whole meetup.
you know,
almost.
yeah,
Like 30,
exactly.
40
To be
people.
like, okay, I can remember this game with this. It doesn't have to be the game, but like games help me remember people's faces and names because I can be like, it was this experience, and oh, it was this person who was sitting across from me playing this, and blah blah blah.
I want to see that's the descriptor. The guy that was sitting across from me wearing the Colts hat is just the name. Of the,
It's gonna
like-
be. It's gonna be like Ryan to let him.
Yes,
like, that's
I know,
his name.
but that's not helpful because I already know he played to let him. It's in the app.
I've done that kind of thing before in BG Stats as well. I have a few because we played a game called like Family Time Games, and then we have like a meetup that we go to. So if I meet them at Family Time, I'll put like their name at Family Time or like their name at the meetup, so that I can remember. Okay, like this is that guy versus. Because we have a lot of people. We have a lot of Ryans. We have a lot of Davids. We have a lot of Dans. It's just kind of crazy, actually. We have a lot of Matts.
Yes.
So it can get difficult even when people are talking about who's coming to play. I'm like, I don't know. Unless I'm asking last names, I don't even know who's going to show up.
Yeah.
Some number of Matts and Daves, I
So
guess.
is part of that also that you want to play with more new people or no?
Yeah, I think so. Not an overwhelming amount. Again, I am not an extrovert, so I don't really want to like.
Easy, everybody.
But I do want to like have some new faces or people that I recognize and like be able to build those relationships a little bit more than just like I played a game with you once and then forgot because like when I see you I'm like, do I know you from somewhere? But I can't really remember because it was one game a year and a half ago.
You need to take pictures of them and put those in the app.
Oh yeah, that's
You
definitely
can
not
do that,
creepy.
right?
Yeah, that's
at
like
all.
perfect. And was like, let me just put my stats in the app. All right, there we go.
Yeah, I'm just doing this. Yeah.
But I've done that same thing too because sometimes it is, and I know we're getting a little off track, but it can be hard to remember people's names, but for some reason I can remember the games. So like if I sit with somebody, I'm like, I don't remember this guy's name, but I know for a fact that we played like Teotihuacan together.
You see
I'll
someone,
go
you're
back
like,
in my app and I'm like,
did we play this game once together?
No, I mean, I have. I'm like, people will come because we go to all these different kinds of like side meetups and there's IndieCon. And like, I'll be like, I know you look familiar. And they'll be like, yep, Ready, Set, Bet. And it's like, yeah, you were at that table. We played Ready, Set, Bet together. That's what it is. Like, I can make that connection to people.
Yeah, I'm not great with names, but I do remember people pretty clearly from the situation. Like that I won't forget. My New Year's resolution, I have a couple.
Okay.
One of them is, like I said, to start using BG Stats. I tried to use it in 2019.
Yeah, what's 2019?
Actually, it's
That was really funny to
2018,
watch.
2019, because when we were when I had it open the other day, when I was starting to use it for this year, I looked back. In fact, I had to reinstall it.
That's
it was,
funny.
it needed to be reinstalled. So I thought, I wonder if it's going to be starting fresh. It didn't. Had all my information. My last game that I had tracked was Wingspan in 2019, literally as it was coming out. Like it might have even before it was like widely available, because I'd started tracking it and it was like 5 games of Wingspan.
Yeah, like right in a row.
Right in a row in like January into February. And then in February, I was like, nah, I'm done.
It was like
tracking
every
stuff.
day, every other day, a game, and then it got to like February 2nd, and it was like nothing for 2 years.
Well, the thing is with this sort of thing is if I miss it once,
You're just like, never mind.
it doesn't take many times to miss it for me to go, yep, I'm done.
See, I still forget games sometimes, and like especially like Scout, like when we're just like playing Scout really quick, I might forget to log it, or Time's Up or party games. I don't log every.
Well, I've been pretty
single
good
play,
so far. You know what I didn't? I have one that I forgot. I played Oathsworn. Spoiler alert. Talk about that more in a second. Solo. Which by myself. That's what solo means. But I didn't track that because I knew I was gonna play it again because I was just kind of learning it to get my feet wet. But yeah, I have to do that. So that is what I'm going to try to do. Another one of my resolutions, and I think I say this. You have to remind me if I say this every year.
I think I know what it is already.
It is to play more games.
Old games.
No, it actually isn't. I feel like I've done a pretty good job of that, getting some older games back to the table, even among all the new ones we play. But I want to play more games outside of my comfort zone, which we've talked about more on the channel. And I think I'm off to a good start. Like I said, I played Oathsworn by myself.
Oathsworn
Those
and
big
Massive
kind of
Darkness.
games, Massive Darkness. I want to get Frosthaven to the table.
Yeah.
I've never really played. I played a little Gloomhaven, but not like the whole thing.
Oh, we're gonna play it.
I'm not saying I'm going to play the whole thing.
You're going to love it.
But I want to play a lot of that. I want to play a lot of Oathsworn to get more involved with that side of the industry, because we don't play a lot of those games around here. Like, you're not a big fan of those kind of games.
No.
You'll play just about anything, I think.
Yeah, but you know, there's some categories of games that I don't play that I was going to talk about too. So I think
For your
we're kind of-
resolution?
yeah, I think we're kind of in the same boat. Well, I don't play miniatures games like at all. Like that's a whole.
You mean like miniatures,
like
miniatures? Like Warhammer miniatures?
War Machine, Marvel Crisis Protocol, which that game looks so appealing to me. I actually made like kind of an appointment with one of the guys at the game store for Thursday to actually finally learn it. Because,
really?
Yeah, this is a whole world of games that I'm just not knowledgeable in.
That's dangerous for you, though, I think. Don't you think? Aren't you afraid a little bit that that's going to turn into a massive investment into Marvel Protocol for you?
Which is why. So the reason I chose Marvel Crisis Protocol is the guy that owns our game store and the guy that's teaching me already own everything. And they're like, just
so you
take
can
what
just
you
go
want.
there and play?
Just grab the models you want. You don't need to feel the need to buy anything. And if I don't even start buying, I don't feel that compulsive need to own all of it. I feel like if I ever bought that core box, I'd be like, now I need everything.
No, you would. You can't.
So you can't buy any of it.
No,
I'm not going to buy any of it. I'm gonna.
Emily are gonna stay on top of it and make sure
I'm
he
not
does
going to
it.
buy any of it. I'm just going to.
We're looking at a guy here who owns all of Marvel United, right?
I do own all of it.
And you'll
so
continue
far.
to buy all of
And
Marvel
I will
United.
continue to buy all of Marvel
And I'm
United.
sure there's a lot of people out there like that. But
There's
that is
a lot
one
of
those
people.
things.
We have a whole thread in our Discord for people that are buying Marvel United.
Well, I think a lot of people too have resolutions of like spending less on games or being more thoughtful
I
and
think that
purposeful
is
on
a
which
good-
ones they
and-
do. But
and I am one
hard
of those
to keep.
people. I'm one of those people.
It
honestly.
is hard to keep.
That was my resolution last year, and I did a really good job with it. But Marvel United, I just get so much enjoyment out of that series.
Sure.
Not just the playing it, but also just like the unboxing it and the experiencing all the cool minis and then painting them.
Sure.
Was such a fun time for me. I paint them. My son likes to paint. He's terrible at it, but like, it's so funny because I'll paint Marvel United and I'll get like we'll go
Did
to our
you just
backstock.
say your son is terrible at it?
He's 4 years old. for
I'm
the
saving
record.
this. When he's 14, I am
years
showing
old.
him this thing.
He doesn't quite understand. He just likes to slather colors on a model. But we get so many prototypes. I'll let him go paint like prototype minis from old games and stuff like that. And so yeah, I do like it's a sentimental place in my heart. And
Sure.
so I'll get all of Marvel United, but I can't do that for every game. If I'm like Marvel United is the one, I'm not going to go all in on like every Bloodborne that comes out or every Zombicide that comes out. Like there are people that do, and there are people watching it that probably are making that same resolution of saying, this year I'm not going to back a single CMON project, and then they're going to back like all 10 of them that they have.
So I have a couple more. Do you have any more?
I do. I have another one, which is just that I want to play games that are new to me. So not necessarily new coming out, but new to me. There's still a lot of games that are on like my list of games I want to have tried.
Yeah.
We went through our top 100 last year, our top 50s last year, and there were so many games on there that I was like, oh, I want to try that, I want to try that, and you guys were like, you should really try this.
We should do a series. We can teach you one of the games on your list and then
new
talk
to you.
about
That would
it.
be fun.
Oh,
We
I
should
like it.
definitely do
Yeah,
that.
I like it too. Like New to Emily, right?
Yes.
There's
yes.
a channel resolution, new series, new to Emily.
But I'm excited for that. So I always really like at the end of the year getting to see how many new games I played and just feeling like, oh, wow, I learned so many new games, new experiences.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, I think, what game would you teach Emily that she hasn't played that you know
I
of?
have to go off the list of games she hasn't played.
I think one that I know of that she hasn't played, Raiders of the North Sea. You've never played, right?
Raiders.
I would play Raiders of the North Sea with both expansions.
I mean,
Because I know you like a lot of the
Yes,
Garfield games.
yes.
Look, we knocked out the one that I wanted, and I feel like you can't beat
was
it.
that?
Kanban.
Oh.
We're like,
Yeah.
Emily, you have to learn Kanban. And look,
Well, I mean, that's a big
Kanban.
win. It's
it
now
was
it's like
a
her
huge
favorite
win.
game.
I don't think I can introduce Emily to another game because there will never be a game
It's
that
just
she
a
loves as
letdown.
much as Kanban. Like, okay, but Kanban
You
was
can
better.
definitely introduce me to more games, don't worry.
So I have a couple things.
Yeah.
So playing more different types of games, for sure. Also, on this is like a personal note, like not necessarily about gaming, but about like etiquette. Like I am on my phone so much, and there's like so many different reasons.
Since when?
No. If you've played a game with me at a con, I probably have checked my phone multiple times during the course of a game.
Probably.
And while that's not a problem necessarily when you do it every once in a while, when you're like doing it every time your phone goes off, every time there's a notification, and it's pulling you out of the game, and people are like, "It's your turn." Like, I just want to avoid that. Like, I just want to avoid that completely. So like, my resolution is just like to try to cold turkey. Just be like, don't even check it. If you're playing a board game, just don't even check it. I know.
We have so much
I
faith
know.
in you,
I
Ryan.
don't think I'm gonna make this
I
one.
So much faith in
I
you.
totally agree with
and bets
you.
against.
I think you should stop doing that too.
No, I think it's like even I have a bad habit, especially like sometimes there's some games that have so much AP.
Yeah.
You're waiting so long for your turn, and you're fidgeting.
It's just a slippery slope.
It is, and
if
that's
you
the
can
problem.
limit it to when there's a massive downtime and then boom, be done. That's one thing. Or you could stay sort of involved in other people's turns. The one thing that I'll probably be a stickler on to keep you honest about your resolution is when someone's teaching the game.
That's true.
That is what I will
That
be
gets
like.
If I
David's
know
goat
the
for
game.
sure.
I might slap the phone off the table if I see it out.
No, it's just I think it's just good etiquette to have, and like if one person's got their phone out, even if it's not my turn, if I've got my phone out, then other people see that and they're like, oh, I should check my phone. Like,
Yeah, it's a social norm
it's just
kind
like
of thing.
yeah, and then it's like let's just not even introduce that into the table.
I like it.
Let's get through the game. That's my personal resolution. That doesn't necessarily have as much to do with
Call 'em
gaming.
out, folks.
But on the gaming side of like things that I want to do with gaming, I really want to get back into playing more RPGs. I barely played any last year, and I really, really missed it. I really enjoy playing D&D.
Like genuine RPGs.
Like genuine RPGs. I work in the RPG industry, and I write a lot, and I playtest a lot of the games that I'm working on. But I want to get out and play other games, like new games. To fix that, I got all of the Blade Runner stuff at PAX
Cool.
to play the Blade Runner role-playing game. And I'm really hoping I get that to the table soon. I'll probably even like talk about it on the channel because I just love role-playing games, and I
felt
just
like
need to
that
embrace that.
I felt like that was about to turn into him inviting us to play Blade Runner.
I think you might really enjoy it. You're a Blade Runner fan, right?
Yeah.
I thought there might be a bigger response.
I am
Not a Blade Runner fan?
I'm a decent. I like it okay. The thing with RPGs and me is such an investment of time. It's like these campaign games that I'm talking about.
Yeah, they are.
Like,
I'd rather do an RPG though than a campaign game.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Good. You're recruited.
See, the
then.
beauty about these now I'm trying to recruit you for
I don't
the
wanna be
campaign
It's
game.
like role-playing game, campaign
You don't
game,
need a
role-playing
DM
game.
is the great thing about these
No, that is-
out of a box, like a Gloomhaven, Frosthaven, Oathsworn. It's like you can have a lot of that same experience. And I have to say, just in the first scenario of Oathsworn, I played the sort of story portion of it, not the encounter portion of it. And that thing was like a choose your own adventure with so many ramifications that I could definitely, and which I've played plenty of these games like this where it does have that choose your own adventure feel, but it had so many things going on that felt like, oh, it's taking this opportunity to supply me or deprive me of things that I could use in the encounter portion of the chapter.
Interesting.
And I saw this happen. I was like, oh, that's cool. Because I was, doing checks and like getting tokens. And then I knew those tokens could be used in the story portion as I was playing. But if I didn't use them, I was going to have those tokens to still use in the encounter portion. So it was like this give and take of like, oh, do I want to use this now? Really, really cool system. But yeah, my New Year's resolution to play more of the games is going to mean that I'm going to have to stick with doing that sort of thing. And I am going to rope you guys into playing.
Well, I'm curious.
If I can.
It'll be new to me, so sure, one time.
Well, she's already going to try Massive Darkness. That is one thing that we're going to get her to
be
try.
In that game. That game is fun. But I'm curious for you.
Yeah.
It's an older game, but did you ever play Legacy of Dragonholt? That
No,
old like
so here's the
GM-less
thing.
RPG in a box kind of thing?
No. And I know it's quite similar to what I was just describing. The thing about this is I don't want to just do a game like that. Like if Oathsworn was just that, I think I would get a little bored. Because it is literally like you're just, I want a game. And I think that portion of the game feels more like, and I hate to describe this, I don't want to say it's an experience, but it doesn't have as many mechanics as you have in the encounter portion. Sure. And I think both of those together really work well together. And I think I would get a little tired of that's effectively like you're reading a choose your own adventure book for today with checks and rolls and things like that. And that's what this felt like too. And it also felt very much like there were decisions that we could make that you have this timeline below the map. And as you're going to locations, you put those locations on this timeline. And the timeline itself for the chapter had spots that if you didn't cover them up, that if once you got to the encounter, the spots that weren't covered up, there were bonuses that you could get. But if you took too much time, those tokens would cover those up and you wouldn't get those bonuses any longer. And there were decisions we made, or that I made, that really changed the map. It took all of these tokens off the map so I could no longer go to those locations because I focused on one thing and I went towards this one thing and interrogated this person. And it felt in a really organic way, leading right into the encounter. I so badly wanted to just play the encounter immediately, but I didn't have time to do it because it's just like, now it's happening. I'm here fighting this giant rat.
Oathsworn I've heard is great.
And I was going to play the encounter this past weekend, but I took it to Alicia's and I forgot the one box that had the one feature in it.
That's the problem.
There's 4 giant boxes of Oathsworn, and I took 3 of them, thinking that the rat was definitely in one of them. And it was in the last box that I left here.
That's why I don't like games that have like 12 boxes, because you're like, which of the 12 boxes do I need right now?
To be fair, I think they did it so that it kind of keeps you on your toes and feels like more of an I have to open this one? Because the boss is actually in one of the big mystery boxes. Its minions are in the other mystery box, which seems a little weird. Funny. And they're not labeled. They're just numbered. So it says, open mystery box 1, and you open it up and you're like, we're fighting this, which is also a cool aspect.
I see.
But yeah, Oathsworn is a game that I played recently.
Well, so I've been playing a few things. I already talked about playing Rear Window with my family, which is a lot of fun. And Oliver got for Christmas this Paw Patrol game. It's like Paw Patrol Adventure Bay Lookout. And I'm going to say this is something that I need to do better at. Because this is one of those...
Playing Paw Patrol.
Well, this is one of those Spin Master games, right?
Specifically.
This is one of those like Spin Master games that you'd find on the shelf. Like the components... Target. The components are garbage, and you look at the game, and you're like, this is so simple. Like, whatever. You would say, like, that's what I mean.
Shots fired, Spin Master.
But it's...
Not a sponsor of the show, by the way.
All I'm saying is that's kind of the way that I've been looking at these games.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
But then watching the excitement that, like, Oliver gets playing this game, he doesn't care what size the cardboard is or the thickness of the cardboard or, and there's this little, like, code thing, and you have, like, one of those code breakers, but you can clearly see the symbols. And, like, all that stuff... You can be so mean to those games, but like watching how much he loves it and how much excitement he gets out of such a simple game, I feel like we just need to give those games more credit. And maybe that should be a resolution for me too, is like not writing games off just because of the packaging or like the mass market aspect of the game or whatever. That's a game I've been playing quite a bit. And then on New Year's, we did like a 12 or 13 hour gaming marathon. We played straight through the night into the next day and played a ton of games, many of which I'd already played before, but the one that I was really excited to play was the Red Cathedral expansion, Contractors. It was so good. I mean, this is the game that we've all liked. We played it together.
She hasn't played it.
I haven't played it.
We haven't played it. That's the one that should be on the list.
There you go.
On the list.
Red Cathedral is very good on its own, but Contractors adds so much to the game. it adds like you have these little workers now, and you can send these workers out onto like a world map, a map of all the different cities, and as you place them, you're getting these tiles, and these tiles are giving you bonuses. And so there's a set collection element because all these tiles are different colors. Plus they'll have little abilities on them. Every time you take a die, you can use abilities, and this is another type of tile like that. So you're getting more combos, you're getting that experience, which I think you'll really like, of being able to like do something with a die and then cash in the tile and make it even better, or do something else as well and come up with all these different combos with that. Plus now there's an area control mechanic, because as you're sending these little workers out to the different cities, each of the cathedrals is linked to one of those different cities, and as you score them, you score for the size of the cathedral times how many people you have in that city. So there's just a lot more scoring happening, and there's a lot more to do now, and there's just a lot more ability for those combos. So I think it really did take the game to the next level.
I mean, there's already, as with a lot of DeVere games, there's a lot of game in that original little box. And now it sounds like pretty significant amount of Euro-y game in these two little boxes.
I mean, this is one of those scenarios people talk about where I would never play Red Cathedral without this.
Really?
It was just, it made the game so much better. It was so much more dynamic, so much more fun to have this whole extra action.
As fun as Paw Patrol, though?
Yeah.
I mean, not for Oliver.
Will you compare everything to Paw Patrol?
That's our new gold standard.
I might. That's my new thing. Is like, but you know, as he grows up, I think we're going to be playing a lot more of those like over the mass market target games. I think we're going to be doing that.
Well, yeah, if you can
like
find some good ones that you know, there are some good family games out there, especially even produced for Target, that I think you could play and feel proud to play.
Yeah, I think so.
So, Emily, do you have another game?
Yes, so I played quite a few games yesterday, but I'd say the one I want to talk about most is Sky Tango was new to me.
Never heard of it.
I haven't heard of that either.
It's a small box, too, probably smaller than Red Cathedral, and it's just a card game where you are playing in partners, so it's a 4-person game. You each have a nighttime sky and a daytime sky. They go numbers 1 through 29. And your goal is to get runs in front of you that are ascending or descending, not strictly in order like 1, 5, 7. But if you get 5 at once, you can bank those for points, which is the point of the game. However, when you're playing cards, you're only playing one card at a time, and you can play it on anybody's tableau. So I can play it on my partners to help them. I could play it on mine to help me. Or I could play it on my enemies. So that way I get like big gaps. Like they have a 2 down, I'm going to put down a 23. Now they can't put anything in between 2 and 23. They have to somehow find numbers higher than 23 or lower than 2 to try to get to that 5-card run.
Interesting.
How mean is it?
It's very take that.
that sounds
it seems like a lot of people would be lured into doing that part.
Yes. But the thing is, you only have 5 cards in your hand at a time, and each turn you're playing 1. You can only draw back up when you have nothing, when you have no cards. That's when you pick up 5 more. So you get to these spots where there are times where you eclipse and you can't do anything. You literally, like the card you have in your hand or the 2 cards that you have in your hand, they can't go anywhere on the board. So what happens then is you get rid of your whole hand and everything in front of you. It just gets discarded and goes back to the middle, which can be good because at the end of the game, any cards in front of you or in your hand are negative points. But any cards you've banked are positive points. So it's a huge thing about timing and trying to figure out when it's good to like not have any options or when it's bad to not have any options. There's a little bit too of like this mitigation with these eclipse cards where you can change one of the cards and go over it to make it basically blanked out. And then they can't use that to bank because there's something in the middle, but you can play over it. It was very interesting because we had times where like people played like 13, 14, 15 right in a row. If you eclipse the 14, you know literally nothing can go there anymore. Like, the only card that could have gone in between 13 and 15 was 14, which is what they originally had.
I mean, that's how it works typically.
Yes.
It feels like in a competitive the mind, right?
It's very competitive, and I think that it's pretty take that, but I'm interested to see, like, I want to play with my sister because she likes euchre a lot, so I'm interested to see if this will land well with her, too.
Does it feel like euchre?
A little bit because you're playing in pairs and it's a card game and it's just it's just like simple. You're going around pretty fast and things can be a little bit strategic but also a little bit random on what you're dealt.
How does a round end? Did you say that?
So the game ends when you go through the cards and there's no cards left. So you can't, when you're trying to pick up cards from the deck and you can't pick up anything. That's when it ends. So either things have been banked or things are all in your tableaus. Something has happened where people have some kind of points there.
It does sound like fun.
It does sound interesting.
Yeah, it was quick and it was very easy to like jump into. The group I was playing with had just played around and they were like, let's play it again. And I had been watching and they were like, you want to jump in? I was like, Yeah, I'll jump in. So that's how I got to playing it, and I was really glad for the teach and glad to play something new.
I like those unique kind of card games.
Yeah.
That team aspect, I think, adds a lot to it.
Yeah,
For
for
sure.
sure.
So I had one more game I played, and I played it with Emily. So we'll talk about it. Ryan, you can just listen. This was, well, I mean, you can participate if you play.
We pretend you played it.
I'm just listening.
But we got one game of Oak played. This
Yes.
is a new
right.
game from Game Brewer, and we desperately want to play it at a
Again.
higher player count.
Yes.
Because we were left after our first game a little
Wanting.
confused about how we felt about it.
Yeah.
Because on one hand, it's incredibly tight and very, you don't feel like you're going to be able to do a lot. And you really can't. It's
No.
a worker placement game. And you have 3 workers to begin with. And these are, what are the druids. And when you go to a place on the board with them, you're also playing a card. And the card is effectively telling you, when you go to this place, you can do one of these things. And depending on which thing you do, you have to go to sort of a subset of that location. If there's another druid there, you have to take one of your other druids and basically put them up on the central area that holds a ton of all the players' druids. And they become inactive. But you're kind of burning a druid to go to a place, and you're burning one of 3.
Yep.
So you're effectively maybe just doing 2 things during a round. And there's, 5 rounds or
Dang.
something like
Yep,
that?
5 rounds.
It feels very restrictive. Now, with that said, there's all these passive druids that we were talking about. There are actions you can play to get some of those druids in your active spots. Now, here's the rub. You only have so many active spots. Some of the things you can do in the game is build out your player board so you have more of those active slots. But with that said, I don't think, and we're going to have to discover this if we play it more,
Yeah.
I don't think it's a game where you're going to okay, now I've got all my druids.
No.
Because you're
I don't
going to
think so either.
constantly be burning these druids to do these things. So it just felt like this, like I felt like I was scratching to get things done. And of course, Emily was playing a superior game to me. Not to mention, so she got a few spots that allowed her to place her druids
Yeah.
on her own player
You
board.
get these things like artifacts, and they're
Yeah.
basically another worker placement spot just for you, though. And so I had all these worker placement spots that I could be going to basically for free. It costs a few points, but it was definitely worth it. And David was like, how do I go places? Like, in a 2-player game, you have some Automa druids
Yeah.
just like blocking spaces, and they were always where he didn't want them to
Always.
be. And so I was kind of like, well, I don't care about what's going on over there. I'm doing my little thing over here. And it was a lot easier for me, but it felt weird that there was such a dichotomy there, that it was like, you felt so restricted. And I was like, not unrestricted. Like I could still feel how it was tight, but it was like, I don't know. It just felt so different.
Well, not to mention, even though you felt less restricted, you kind of just fell into a rhythm of doing the same thing
Exactly,
over
yeah.
and over and over, which I wondered whether or not that was even satisfying. Even though it was a nice little engine, it was a pretty basic
yeah, I wouldn't
engine.
even call it an engine though. It was just like,
Yeah.
it's such small things you're doing. It reminded me of Batoku, where like you're doing tiny little things and they each get you points, like small amounts of points that add up. But this was like much smaller scoring. There's just much smaller things you're doing. It didn't feel like at the end I had really like produced anything big or been like,
It
this
didn't
is my
build.
great work that I did.
See, that's a game should build.
It didn't.
I
It
like
didn't.
that build.
It
I
didn't
I don't
build.
think a game has to build, but I was kind of expecting it to. It just wasn't what I was expecting at all. And so I'm wondering
Yeah.
if at a higher player count is where it really
Oh,
shines.
so you think it wasn't great at a 2-player count?
Well, I don't know that it was player count.
I
We
just can't
we
be
want
sure.
to play it again. To like, it was one of those things where we're like, I think we figured, like, we have to play this to figure it out again, and to
we've-
like really. This is definitely a game that you would not be able to play the first time and go, oh yeah, I see all the satisfaction you can get from this game. It's not staring you right in the face.
Right,
No.
you got to find
Which
those
is
little
typically
moments.
what I like. So it wasn't exactly the most positive experience for me. To be fair, Emily wants to play this again more than I want to play it again. But I do want to play it again because I have a
do it.
sort of fascination with wanting to see if I can find where that is. Because there were whole aspects to the game, by the way, that we didn't even do.
No,
Like,
yeah. I
there
didn't
are
do the creature
creatures that
cards
you
at
can get
all.
across the bottom of your board. I got one just kind of like, well, we're going to get creature cards.
Yeah.
Obviously.
David likes to explore a game usually.
And I
so
got
he's
this
like-
creature card, and then I'm like, well, that was dumb. I'm not using this creature card, so I'm not going to get any more creature cards. And then neither of us got any more. So it felt like a weird. if someone's out there, if you've played Oak and you're like, oh man, the creature card strategy is
Well,
huge.
that's what I was gonna say. Like,
please share that.
Some games are like that though, where you're like, oh well, we didn't even do this part of the game, and then somebody else is like, well, yeah, but that's your foundation. If you do this part of the game, it gives
I don't
you...
think this is the case though.
I mean, I haven't played it. I'm eager to play it though.
I think you might like it.
Yeah.
I would definitely want us to play at a higher player count.
I don't know this.
Well, it's a tight worker placement game, which is what I think you'll like about
Yes.
it. Because it is definitely requires a lot of planning. It is very tight. You have to be very careful about which things you're doing, which is what I think you'll appreciate for
that
it.
can be positive or negative, right? Because like Wayfinders has
Farers.
Wayfarers has that element of like you need a lot of planning, but there's also moments where you can pivot. So like games that are very heavy, that require a lot of planning, and then like once you're on a path, you're stuck on it, and if anybody comes and messes up your path just a little bit, you're out. I don't like that.
I don't know.
That's
Sure where this one's
that's
gonna
like the
fall.
food chain magnate issue there. Like one person messes with you, and you basically might as well just stop playing.
I don't know that will be the case, but I will say, at least based on our one play caveat, is that this feels like a game where someone could make a mistake and then kind of be out of the game. Like I felt like to some degree, there's nothing at a certain point when you had those extra worker then I could do that. Mm-hmm. I could go after artifacts, but then I was already kind of like a step behind her.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a catch-up mechanic, but it is not much at all.
Yeah,
it's like it's very.
I thought that was going to
minimal.
be more than it was, but it really
I feel
wasn't.
like we need to do a whole video just on Oak now.
Yeah, well, we're
Yeah.
going to play it again for sure, and we're probably going to do at the very least a just played video for it. And unless you guys have other personal resolutions, I want to talk a little bit about the resolutions for the channel.
Okay.
And there's one of the things I want to continue to do, I think what we did a pretty good job of in 2022, and that is more content, more non-paid content, reviews, series like Just Played, which thank you for watching that. A lot of people have responded well. A lot of people, it sounds like you guys like that. We're trying to get more of what's just coming in, played, so that we can share some information about it. And also in that series specifically, give you an idea of who we think the game is for and who we think it might not be for. So if you haven't checked that out, check out some of those episodes. Those have been really fun.
But I do like that feeling of like, because we can talk about it too, like when it's fresh. And I like that. And like, I love like really deep diving into like what makes the game work and playing it like 10 times. But like, not every game I want to play 10 times to like really understand it, to really master it.
Yeah, that's going to be something in particular. We're going to do more content this year as well. We'll explore with some new things. But Just Played, you'll probably see a lot of those. I also want to do one of those for Oathsworn when we finally sit down and play like the first full chapter. Same thing with Frosthaven. And then you'll probably see even more content on things. For sure with Frosthaven, we're going to have some more content on the channel. Well, with that is the end of the very first episode of Chit Chat for 2023.
Oh, yeah.
This is episode... Did you not realize
I
this?
didn't even realize that until right now.
He's like, what were we making these resolutions for again?
What year is it?
Episode 112. Thank you for watching. Be sure to watch next time. We're going to try to get a little more regular with this. Hopefully every 2 weeks. We'll land on a certain day and have that happen. Hopefully every 2 weeks, along with all of our content. Try to get a little bit more scheduled out so you can know exactly when things are coming. Until next time, though, make sure everyone has fun at the table, and we'll see you then.